Good morning, you beautiful creatures. How the devil are you? I hope you're well. If you're new here, my name is Lou, or Lucifer, as my friends like to call me. By my friends, I mean my ever-growing army of demons.
What a lovely day.
Will you ever introduce yourself?
Never.
This is Gareth. He's fun. We have fun here. Pre-apologies for my voice. I've only just got it back and it is rapidly going again. So this video is going to be very interesting. A lot of you are wondering why we are not at HorrorCon today, and the answer is...
we're going tomorrow.
Yes, because it's quieter on Sundays. The Saturdays are very intense. And I've not been having a good time of it recently, so I'm having a mental health day instead in
Eyam,
otherwise known as the Plague Village. Yes, you heard that right, guys and ghouls. The Plague Village. It is said that Eyam is one of the main catalysts for why the plague died down. But we will get into that, so do not worry. We're going to show you a lot of the sites. Some of them we're not going to do today, one because of the weather and two because of how I'm feeling. We can always do that at a future video, a future point, but we will show you the boundary stone, we will show you the museum, we will show you the plague houses, and we will show you some of the burial sites, and we will give you all the information. One tip: if you're going to come here, make sure you come early. We've got here at 11 o'clock, just before.
And this car park's pretty much full.
This car park is practically full. It's one of the only car parks in Eyam.
That's free.
That's free. So, just a thought for you. But we hope you have a horrible time in the best possible way. Let's do it. We begin our little morbid adventure at Eyam Museum. Fun fact for you, we've been here, what, 3 times?
4 times.
4 times, and this museum has not been open. One of them was due to COVID reasons, which I think is very funny. But this is a story of when the plague came to Eyam in 1665 to 1666. Even though it was a year, it basically ravaged the entire village.
The whole country.
Well, the whole country, but again, because the people were so selfless here, they actually helped to stop the spread of the plague.
First reported case of self-isolation.
God, I wish we'd done this during the COVIDs.
Yeah.
But here is your information for the museum. It doesn't open often, Tuesday to Sunday. Well, I suppose 10 till 4. Last admission is £3.15, and then you've got all your prices there.
Very reasonable.
They also have a gift shop, and you know I'm a sucker for a gift shop. Okay folks, so here's the lowdown. When we did get into the museum, we realised that a lot of it was actually reading based, very heavily into reading. So we have put a few clips in there for you to enjoy. You can stop them at your own leisure and read them at your own leisure. However, it just goes into a massive amount of detail about the part that Eyam played in the Great Plague of 1665. This village actually cut itself off from the rest of the country because they were hit with the plague, and they thought that it would be able to stop it from spreading to more people. It actually arrived in Eyam on some cloth, believe it or not. The apprentice of the tailor brought cloth back that had fleas on it. Here's some rats over here to show you and illustrate to you. But it was the fleas, it wasn't actually the rats that did it. And William Mompson and Thomas, so his right hand man, actually helped to get the villagers together to essentially say, we need to cut ourselves off. Because in 1665 they didn't really have that many casualties. However, moving into 1666 they realised that actually there was a huge problem, and that's when they cut themselves off. They obviously tried different things. They tried different ointments, different elixirs and different kinds of help to stop the spread, but you know, social distancing and keeping themselves away from the rest of the country, that was the thing that really did it. And if it wasn't for them, it would have gotten a lot worse. So please take the time to really appreciate the struggles and just the devastation that the plague brought to this village. You can see in the museum how many casualties there truly were. There wasn't one house that wasn't hit by this plague. You can see here how many people passed away from it, and it just goes to show how brave these individuals were to say that we are going to cut ourselves off from the rest of the country to try and stop this from happening. And I think that's what's so important about history, to kind of remember the sacrifices that people have made to further history along. Even going into Eyam in lockdown again when COVID happened, it was such an interesting kind of idea to go from the plague to COVID and just see how it kind of all came about. But I really hope that this was a really nice insight. Also, there's a fun plague doctor. He was fun. We loved him. Frontline worker. We love him. But I really hope you enjoyed this little insight into Eyam Museum.
Wow, you know me, I love a little bit of dress up as much as the next guy. If you do come here and you do want to get dressed as a peasant, you can. Don't worry, they've got adult caps and aprons, and you can send your selfie to all of their socials. Very cutesy. So a lot of these stories that you'll find in here, we will actually be walking by the houses later, but it just goes to show how many of them perished in these places, really. And it's rough, it's really rough. And this, I believe, is the story of the Boundary Stone. That's real sad. We've come across this delightful little activity. Can you find the fleas? Well, I am a known flea finder. The plague came to Eyam in a box of tailor's materials delivered from London. Can you find the fleas or the lice in the materials in the box? Whoa, this is exciting. Look at that little rat. Look at that little guy. So there are, a lot of it is reading based, but there are a few activities for little ones.
Died of plague. Blue died but not of plague. And then yellow was lived during the plague but unsure.
And there were 76 of them in total.
76 households.
So many people. Wow.
Sorry, the entire family died, but then everyone but the youngest
Yeah.
survived.
And we are rapidly entering the gift shop.
A leech.
Gareth, explain, what's this? A leech? Do you want to buy a leech for your house? Well, come here and you can. Little rats. They get such a bad rap. I love me a little rat. But it's okay because you can get a little flea as well. Oh, look at those scissors. Ah, that's so cool.
Dead sharp.
And you've got little plague doctors as well. I love anything.
Needle felt as well.
Yeah, anything that looks like or is a plague doctor, I'm there. I really wish that when we worked in the dungeon that we could have had the plague doctor outfit, you know, like in the London dungeon.
Yeah.
No, we had Scabby instead. We had a little Scabby. He were lovely. You can get puzzles as well. And books. Martin has that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plague, pestilence and pandemic.
Skull coin tray.
Very cute.
And the board game Pandemic.
I've never been so stressed whilst playing a game before. I had a great time. Oh, I love this as well.
It's not a leech, it's actually Black Death Plague itself.
It gets better. Do you want to sell from the Black Plague? From the Black Death? Why not? Yes. Incredible. Love it. So we have just finished in the museum. It was lovely, very whimsical, very fun. Only a £5 each. So it was a nice price for what you get.
Yeah.
We were actually speaking to two of the ladies that work there, and they said that they're looking to expand and add more thingamabobs and doohickeys, because the way that we learn is rapidly changing. AKA, people no longer want the hands-on stuff, they now want iPads and boring things. We can't let that happen. You have no idea. Stuff like
well, it can be used in certain things.
Yeah, in certain ways it's fine, but when you've got things like the Black Country Museum or the think tank, things like that, I would much rather have things immersing me and things surrounding me and things that are there and that you can do. And different people learn in different ways, but it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with the museum. So
there's only a certain amount of space they've got.
yeah, exactly. It's very little. It's real small. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go and get some
lunch.
Get some lunch, but we're also going to show you some of the houses and some of the locations where these things took place. We're also going to do a few like little tidbits about the plague in general, because we're both ex-dungeon actors. We know about this kind of stuff. I hyperfixate on it, which is great.
And we both love morbid history.
And we both love morbid history. Hello. Let's do it. We have happened on one of the first houses. This is the Rose Cottage. 9 members of the family died, the Thorpe family. They all died, so an entire family was wiped out here. And it sucks. You know, they died so close together as well. 30th of September, 1st of October, 20th of December, 15th of April, 2nd of May, 2nd of May. All gone. But that is in the span of 1 year. It's just because we looked at the diagram, didn't we, with how many families were actually eradicated essentially by the plague. Bumblefuzz. And it's horrible. It's horrible to think, but it's bizarre because you can walk along this path essentially and read these plaques, but people do genuinely live here. So just be mindful of what you do. Yeah, be respectful essentially, but you are more than welcome to read the plaques, have a look, take pictures, but not, you know, go into the houses. Now this one is a plague cottage where the only survivor was Mary. All of her relatives passed away, husband, children, all of them gone. Again, 1665 into 1666, an entire year where people just perished. It's awful. And the ornaments are really cute as well. And they also have a little gift box, so it can support Hub of the Village, and it can help Eyam to maintain these kinds of things in historical areas. I think it's really neat. Again, we found the Hawksworth family home. This is this home here. It's a little bit bigger than the other ones, but I think it's 2 houses that have been knocked into one, essentially. Yeah, I think that's happened. But here, all of her relatives, Jane was the only survivor. Again, she lost 25 relatives to the plague. Every single one of them. Can you imagine just going through all of that and being the only one? That's rough. One of the things that's really interesting about the primary school here is the gate has the rhyme Ring Around the Roses, and if you didn't know, it was actually about the plague, specifically the pocket full of posies. A tissue, you've got the plague, we all fall down. There were actually some people in the museum that didn't realise that nursery rhyme was about the plague. But there is something else that I also want to highlight. So if you do ever come to Eyam and you do want to take a photo of the gate, please do not do it when children are on the playground. It's
just common sense.
It's common sense, it's privacy, and it's a safeguarding issue. So please just be mindful. We've obviously come on a weekend where nobody's in session, so that's fine. We've just had some wonderful food down at the Eyam tea rooms. They're so nice in there. And now we're coming up to, you say it better than me, go on.
Ludgate.
Ludgate, there we go. And this was Lydgate. See, I'd say Lydgate, but you turn around and go, that's wrong. So this was actually the main road into Eyam, and men would take it in turns to watch and ward from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m. if anyone wanted to enter the village. And this cottage, 2 people actually passed away here. So this was the Rowland family. And it's actually a holiday cottage as well. So you can stay if you want to. And we moved up to the graves. So the 2 sorry souls that passed away in the cottage are here. Now this site is actually not by this site specifically, but things like this are dotted all around Eyam. Up every other road there's graves, burial sites, and you've got to think the amount of people who passed away because of the plague. It was everywhere in this village, everywhere was affected. It wasn't just like one road or one little section, it was everywhere. So everywhere you go, there's a piece of history about the plague, people, their graves, exhumed graves as well. So if you go back down that way, there's a few graves if you follow further up, but they were exhumed and they've been moved, but the site's still there. Of course it is. But this is the Ludgate graves coming up to the boundary stone as we walk through the countryside. Just to let you know, it is a little bit, not necessarily a big trek, but it'll take you about 5 or 10 minutes to get there. But the sights around are gorgeous. You could have a horror movie around here, I reckon. Dean! But I would recommend, because bearing in mind this is like the 3rd time we've gone up to the boundary stone, because I don't think we went up last time. If you are going to go up to the boundary stone and it's wet, you need to be wearing the appropriate footwear. Also, as you get closer to the boundary stone, the path narrows, so it's best to cover your legs. I have not. And the sheep. There's little sheeples as well. If you have got dogs, please keep them on the leads. As it says here, also, this is fun to get through. Just looking at this beautiful abandoned barn. There are places like this, I kid you not, we are so lucky where we live because we see a lot of this. But I'd love to do like a photo shoot or something. We were just talking about it, weren't we? I'd love to do a photo shoot in something like that. And then we got some little sheep and little baby sheeples. Like I said though, the path does get rather tight. So if you are coming here, prepare, especially if it's raining, for it to be muddy, slippy, and nettles as well. There's a lot of nettles down here. Just pre-warning. Oh, look at this little lamb. Oh my gosh. Same. Now this might just look like a, do you mind?
It was the crows.
And it was the sheep. Oh no, that was a crow, never mind. Do you mind? Now, to go back to the ominity of all of this. This might just look like a bunch of fields to you. Well, you'd be right. But there is history here, you delightful freaks. First of all, fun fact for you, over there, the first time we came here, we saw
like a railway leading off the edge of the cliff.
Yeah. And we looked at it and went, huh, it doesn't say anything about that in like the history of Eyam, anything. Turns out they were actually filming Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise could have just been wandering around Eyam and we wouldn't have known.
There's the scene where they have the steam train and they throw it off a cliff.
Yes.
And Tom Cruise jumps off it. Because he likes doing that.
Yeah, he does. Because he's a Scientologist and they're weird. But
and Scientologists are known for jumping off trains.
They are, it's true. But you delve in deeper into the history of this place and it gets very dark very quickly. Don't worry, guys and ghouls. We'll tell you all about it when we get there. One of the more heartbreaking sides of the whole thing was heartbreaking, but one of the more heartbreaking stories was about Emmett and Roland. Now Emmett was from Eyam, so if you've come up from Eyam, back that way. And then Roland was from
Stony Middleton.
Thank you. They were actually lovers and he would go to visit her in Eyam, but then the plague started. So what they do is Roland would come from this direction, Emmett would come from this direction. They would stand at a distance and just stare at each other in silence. It was a secret meeting, but eventually Emmett, she stopped coming, but Roland would continuously come to this spot and meet, well, try to see if she'd come back. She didn't, and when everything was over, he went to the village and it turns out that Emmett had passed away. So this space, this area is actually very poignant in the plague story. A lot happened here, including the boundary stone. So what would happen is people would leave different things here. So food, water, currency, anything like that. And they would actually cover it in vinegar.
So that what would happen is that they put the money in these holes, fill it with vinegar to disinfect.
Yeah.
Then people from Stony Middleton would come up, bring food and supplies, take the money, so that money was payment.
Yeah.
And then the villagers would then come back, collect the stuff,
Yeah.
and go. Well, very, very similar to what happened during COVID.
That's what. So the ladies at the museum actually said that after COVID hit, Eyam suddenly became a very popular place of interest because of what happened with the bubonic plague. A lot of people became interested after the pandemic, which morbid fascination, morbid curiosity. It's almost like you're revisiting something that's already happened before. There were different things that people tried to do during the Great Plague, the Black Death, trial and error. Some things worked, some things didn't work. Same with COVID. We remember when we used to work in the dungeon that during the plague section, a lot of people would actually take offence to it. And you could see it. So during that time, we'd have to wear masks, face masks, so it wouldn't spread. And you could see their faces, like they were real angry.
We had to change the scripts as well slightly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Instead
we
of saying
did.
you've got it, you had to be specific.
Yeah. And it's just, we found it really fascinating because history repeats itself in
Many forms.
in many forms. We never knew that this could happen. We never knew that COVID would be a thing. Nobody planned for it. And same with the Black Death. Nobody planned for it. You know, it was a disease that came from, I believe it was Asia, but don't quote me on that one. It was the fleas on the rats that came on the ships, came to England and spread it.
And then it got to Eyam in the cart of a tailor.
Yeah.
The fleas jumped on with that.
Yeah.
Came up in a tailor's cart, and then that's how it spread.
Yeah.
And stopped because everyone self-isolated.
Yeah. I believe it was the priest, a man of religious background.
Yeah.
He was the one who said, we need to self-isolate to help to stop this from happening. And some people say that that was one of the things that stopped this from spreading so fast. Something that had killed thousands and millions of people. I mean, the body count was ridiculous. The body count was horrendous.
Was it 86 people survived in the village?
Yeah. And trying to repopulate that is impossible. You look at that and then you look at something like London, where they have specific plague streets, and you know, there's the urban legend that the tube is the way it is, the underground is the way it is because it's going past all the plague pits. This wasn't a laughing matter. It killed so many people. So selfless acts like the people did in Eyam are so poignant to stop it, and that's why the history is so rich and people do love coming here. I mean, it's like our happy place, isn't it?
Happy place around death.
Yeah, we have some real morbid happy places. Like if you've seen my Hindu video, the 10 Bells has now become one of my special happy places. People know what happened there, but we love stuff like this. We love the history of it. We love kind of the morbidity behind it, I guess.
But also
I don't
the
know.
humanity behind it.
Yes. It's human behaviours and human psychology about what people did, how they went about it. Similar with serial killers. How they went about it and how they might have stopped these things or how these things might have continued. Those are the things that we're interested in, and that's why we like sharing it with you guys. But there's also some really beautiful moments in these morbid moments, like the humanity of these two lovers who tried to maintain a somewhat, you know, loving relationship, but she passed away and that was their everything gone. So it's those little moments, those little heartbreaking moments that we like to document as well. But not just that, also there was another death just up here. Now we move on to Lover's Leap, Hannah's tragic story, but not really. And Gareth very well pointed it out, thank you, that this lip here is essentially covering it, so you can't see it, but it's there. Now what she did, she had a bad fallout with her fella, as we all do. She decided she was going to unalive herself by jumping off this ledge. However, her petticoat acted
like a parachute,
poor thing, and she survived. Alas, 2 years later, she passed away of natural causes.
Still unmarried.
Still unmarried. So not necessarily horrendously morbid, but there were morbid intentions behind it. Sad. Very sad. But it just goes to show, particularly in England and places around here, that you could just, someone who's not like us, could just walk down here and be none the wiser and not know the history of what happened here. There are so many places around here with morbid history or poignant events happened in history, and that's what we love so much about it. I mean, we've got a place up by us called Lud's Church, which I'd really like to do one day, my health permitting. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, I'd almost describe it as like a cavern.
Yes, it was a chasm.
It's a chasm, but it's naturally made. So when you go there, you think there was definitely some kind of architectural idea behind it. None at all, nothing, zilch. It was actually a meeting place for cannibals, and all sorts of horrible things happen there. But not many people know about that, so we'd really like to take you there. But for now, we just concentrate on the history of Eyam. That's all of the dark and dreary. But we're going to continue on now, aren't we? Yeah. We're going to go back the way we came. We're not going to go to Mopson's Well today, or the Riley Graves today, just because they are all the way up there. That might seem pretty close to you, but it is not.
Steep hill.
It's a steep hill, and I am unwell. I'm very unwell. Every time I coughed in the museum, Gareth would just be like, and then carry on. So we're going to go back the way we came, and we're going to show you the church, because the church has some very poignant history behind the plague. It tells the story of it. It's also where some very poignant key characters in the story are buried, so we can show you that as well. And then I think we're just going to have a nice little relaxing stroll back the way we came. But if you did enjoy this so far, we love doing stuff like this. If you want to see us do more dark history or go to different places, then let us know, because we love doing it. We really enjoy doing it, and it's cheap for us to do as well. Like, we didn't have to pay for parking.
It's a 45-minute drive.
It's a 45-minute drive from where we're based. There's just loads that we want to do. Loads we want to do. Fun but boring fact for you. Here we go. Some of the bricks used in these houses, my dad used to work at the Ibstock factory for them, and when we brought him and my mum here, because we were potentially going to get married here, remember that? Wasn't that fun? That was a fun and fairy time. Potentially going to get married here, but because of the availability for hotels and stuff was just not it. We were like, nah, change that up. When we brought them here, he turned around and went, oh, those bricks, I know them. It was like fascinating. I love how they've really owned it. They're having a half marathon here tomorrow, but if you notice, the logo is the little rat they use for the Plague Museum. You know, I love it when people own what they're known for. Go all out, do it, own your heritage. These houses are everything, and I'm very jealous. Now we're moving into Eyam Church, which, may I say, beautifully kept. You go to some cemeteries, I mean, closer to the back, there's a little less care that's gone into it, but the front is absolutely gorgeous. They have some very interesting graves historically that we'll highlight for you, but it truly is beautiful. You can go in whenever you want within reason. Obviously they have different things going on, so it's not open to the public all the time, But if you do go in, it is today, so we'll have a look. If you do go in, please just be respectful. You know, people do genuinely use it as a church, so just be mindful. Don't make fuss, and you'll be all right.
Why are you looking at me?
You'll be all right. I knew it was a reverend or something like that. So, William Mopson. Am I saying that right?
Mompson.
Mompson. I'll just call him William from now on because I'm an idiot. So William was actually the one who orchestrated the whole plan of cutting themselves off, and it was his job to try and enforce that and to get the villagers on board with it, which wasn't an easy job at all. But he was so well regarded and such a big support in the village that everyone just rallied behind him. So this is a memorial to Thomas Stanley, who was a supporter of William during the plague, so he would have helped him to orchestrate cutting off the village. So this is Catherine, who was William's wife, who passed away from the plague in 1666, so the last stretch of it, really. But you see how well the grave has been kept and how big and grand the grave is compared to other graves that you might see. So it just goes to show that even if you did pass away during that time and you had the money, you were going to get the goods. Incidentally, a grave a little bit similar to this is Molly Lee's. Now, if you haven't heard that story, check out my video when we go and see Molly Lee's grave. She's essentially the Witch of Burslem. And you can tell her grave because it's in a different direction from everybody else's. But she has a very similar grave to Catherine, showing that she had a lot of status. So even in those days, depending on your status and depending on your financial situation, depended on what your gravestone looked like and how you'd be remembered. So this, in stained glass, I'm just keeping my voice hush-hush because we're inside the church now. This actually tells the story of the village and what happened. So somewhere there is a cart that brought in the materials, there it is, that had the parcel with cloth in, that brought the plague supposedly. There's the story of the two lovers, of Emmet and Roland, and then Stanley and William discussing how to cut off the village.
And then towards the top you got the Mompson well and the Riley grave.
Yeah. And the Celtic cross. And then you've got William in the centre. So it essentially tells you the whole story. I can only apologise for the reflection, but it's literally behind glass. But like we showed you previously in the museum, here is a record of the people who passed away during the plague between 1665 and 1666. But you can just see how many people it took. And you think about this village is very small. Very, very small. Every single month it took someone, and it only really stopped in November. The last unaliving was in November. It was the 1st of November, 1666. Started September the 7th, 1665. So over a year, this village had to suffer from the plague. All those people. bring our little tour to a close, listening to the crows as we walk through a grave. And a choir. There is a wedding going on. As we walk through the graveyard in Eyam Church. Not in the church. Not in the church. Not in the church. You going out? We love, well, more specifically me, I love walking through a cemetery, graveyard. We have some beautiful ones. There's one in London that I'd like to go and visit. Is it Highgate? Yes. Cemetery. I'd love to visit the Highgate Cemetery. But if you do come to this cemetery and you look at the years on the gravestones, if it says 1665 or 1666, chances are they may have passed away from the plague.
I think those ones are mostly at the front.
Yeah. Obviously not everybody passed away from the plague in that like over year cycle. You know, some people just genuinely did pass away from old age and other ailments, but for the most part that's what it would have been.
I just think all the graves back here are more recent, like the past couple of hundred years instead of 400 years.
There's some beautiful ones, some absolutely gorgeous ones, but it's just nice to have a little moment, listen to the birdies and enjoy a good graveyard. Enjoy. One of the things I really love about this place, and Gareth very rightly pointed it out to me because I would have just walked straight past it, is the little herb garden they've got. Herbs are a massive part of the plague kind of history because they were used heavily to try and get rid of the symptoms. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it really didn't. But you've got rue, thyme, balm, rosemary. But it tells you the different reasons why they use them. Thyme is brilliant and it smells divine. Rosemary is really nice as well. Surprised they haven't got any lavender here. And one thing that's really cool as well is they have braille. So if you have got a member in your party with additional needs when it comes to sight, there's this. It's nice. We got snacks. I'm unsure what this place is called, but I'm ready for this mango sorbet. This is in Eyam Hall. It is. Heck yes. Yeah, we're next to Eyam Hall now, and they've got like food areas and whatnot, and we just need something real sweet. Hell yeah. Hello, we are back again.
This is not the plague village.
This is not the plague village
anymore. This is a plague house.
This is a plague house. We are back. So I had some gelato and there was a lot. So I was like, I am not getting that on my camera.
3 scoops, you more like got 5.
I may as well have had the tub.
Yeah.
He may as well have given me the tub, but it was delightful. Did you have a good day, darling?
I had a wonderful day.
Wunderbar. That's what we like to hear. Yes, we had a really nice day. Really, really nice day. I am dead now, so we're gonna have to pump ourselves full of rest and sugar and all the good stuff ready for tomorrow. Going to HorrorCon, very excited. We've heard that it's been busy.
Very busy.
But everybody we've spoken to has got everything that they wanted to get and it was all Gucci. So it's going to be very interesting what our experience is. We're going to have a good time. I think that's about it, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Hot take before I go. I'm going to start doing this now. Lucifer's hot take of the day. Royal Kingdom, the adverts. Whoever's in charge of them needs to calm down. Okay? One of them, he looks like he's been kidnapped and he's doing a ransom video. Another one, the wife, is practically waterboarding the poor man.
Give him a break.
Give him a break. Nobody wants to play that game.
Or, in the words of Ringo Starr, although he might have deserved that punishment. Don't you?
We're just watching something really obscure on YouTube. So that makes sense to us, but probably doesn't make sense to you. My point is, Royal Kingdom, you need to calm down. I think that's a good hot take for the day.
Yeah.
So, we hope you've had a good day. If not, that's okay. Always remember,
tomorrow is a new day.
See you later, guys. Bye.
you.